Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about the exceptionally ancient city of Ur, who is also known as the city of the moon god. This city is found in Sumer, which is in southern Mesopotamia or modern-day Iraq. Sumer is viewed as one of humanity's cradles of civilization, which makes the Sumerian city of Ur significant in understanding an important chapter in the history of our world. The Sumerians were the first civilization to introduce writing, known as cuneiform, which is Latin for wedge-shaped. It dated back to 3100 BC. The script was initially used as a record-keeping tool using basic pictograms that soon evolved into the wedge shapes we see here. We also inherit our sexagesimal system of counting, which is using the number 60, which we use to measure time, angles and geographic coordinates. At Ur, the moon god Nanna was amongst the most important gods in the Mesopotamian pantheon. He was also the city's patron deity. He was believed to live on top of the stepped pyramid, where there used to be a temple, which was seen as his house, his home, and the priests would act as his sort of servants and make sure his bed was made every day, he was fed, he was washed, he was clothed. So there was we know that there was a statue in there of him which they saw as the real God himself. So there was also no attempt to differentiate between the moon god and the moon. They were seen as one and the same. The moon god was a male deity. He was named Suen or Nanna, and sometimes Shin by the later Akkadians. The Sumerians used a lunar calendar, so measuring the lunar phases was of great importance. And their calendar year added up to around 360 days, so they'd usually add in like an extra intercalary month to sort of make it balance. Interestingly, the moon god was portrayed commonly in literary works, referred to in literary works as the bull, and he was associated with cattle herds, agricultural fertility, which is likely connected to the crescent formed in the waxing moon, which at Mesopotamia's latitude sits horizontally, which forms the horns of a bull. Today, Ur is in ruins. However, the pyramid was recently restored by Saddam Hussein. The poor preservation of the city is largely due to it being constructed from mud brick, which does not last the ravages of time. Also, the reason it's in such ruins is because over 2,000 years ago, the Euphrates River, which was the lifeblood of the city where trade would come through, and it sort of allowed for agriculture and the use of these canals, which the Mesopotamians were renowned for. When the river disappeared or went sort of rerouted, the city basically died. Moving on, the ruins of the city were only identified around the 19th century, and most of the information about it was obtained by this English archaeologist named Sir Leonard Woolley, and he was there excavating from around 1922 to 1934, and he found the city was walled and included multiple temples, residences for the priests, and also a palace in the sort of inner city of the sort of sacred area, which we can see here. This is the sort of sacred inner city, and this was some of the residences of the average person. So throughout its long history, the city was destroyed and rebuilt many times. And the earliest dates of the city was based on the stratigraphy, which dated all the way back to 3800 BC. And some of the finds included pottery sherds, flint, and obsidian tools. And this is just an example of what obsidian tools look like. Very beautiful. The most famous excavations were at the Royal Cemetery, and the treasures unearthed here were quite staggering, and it caused quite a stir at the time. The first pit was known as the Great Death Pit. And it was aptly named due to the Sumerian king Meskalumdug, who had soldiers and an entire choir of women sacrificed and buried to accompany him into the afterlife. Although not much remained, of note was the statue, the ram in the thicket, as we can see here. And this was made with limestone, bitumen, shell, copper, gold, silver, and lapis lazuli for its blue colour. Also found was the standard of Ur, which was a wooden box inlaid with a mosaic of shell, red limestone, and lapis lazuli. It depicted war on one side and peace on the other. And it was discovered next to the skeleton of a ritually sacrificed man who may have been its bearer. Another lavish tomb was that of Queen Puabi, who was only identified due to her cylinder seal bearing her name. The burial goods include this elaborate gold lapis lazuli and carnelian headdress. Also, this bull-headed lyre, which was found in the pit, was made with precious materials and had a panel depicting a scene which shows anthropomorphic beings in an underworld banquet. And it's also possible that this bull head may in fact relate to the moon god. So now focusing on the ziggurat again, a recent study, very recent in fact, found that its orientation may be approximately 56 degrees from north. So the staircase points that way, which leads up to the main temple. And this is usually how orientations are measured, sort of where the temple faces. So what they found is that this orientation actually aligns to the most northerly moonrise, which is an event that only occurs once in every 18.6 years. And it's thought to symbolize the place of birth of the moon god. Moreover, we see here the lunar alignment may in fact have been used to orientate other cultic and royal structures of the sacred area or inner city. So we see here there's these streets. It sort of looks as though some of the buildings may in fact have all been aligned along this axis. Now zooming out a little bit, you can see down here there's Ur, and what one of the authors suggested is that he found that the rear axis that the Ur ziggurat aligns on is actually pointing towards Nippur, which is 150 kilometers away. Now, this 326 degree angle is quite miraculous, as it's also what the ziggurat is aligned on, and it's called the orthogonal, which is 90 degrees from the other measurement or angle. It's like a 90 degree angle. So Nippur was the spiritual center of the Sumerian world, so perhaps they were aware of this alignment, and it may have actually reinforced their beliefs that Ur's fortunes were thanks to the close relationship between the cities. A myth actually survives in textual form that tells of the moon god Nanna's journey to Nippur, which is significant, especially with this lunar-based orthogonal alignment. So hopefully more will come out about this, because it's very significant. So this is the end of my first video. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a pleasure to share with you a little on the subject which I'm very passionate about, and I'll be sure to make more videos in the future, and I'll be looking to focus on history and archaeology. So please like and subscribe the video. If you have a subject or a site or a city or some artifacts that you'd like to learn more about, I'd be more than happy to consider those and perhaps do it, make a nice video. Yeah, so thank you. Please please like and subscribe, as I'm just starting out, so I'll be very appreciative of any support I can get. So yeah, have a nice day.